and welcome to our very first episode of the Highlands and Islands Climate Hub's Climate Craic podcast. Today I am joined by Dan Jenkins from the Health Improvement Team for NHS Highland to talk about green health. Thanks for joining us today, Dan. How are you?
Great to be here. Thanks for having me along.
For the people that have never heard the term green health before, would you care to explain?
Sure. So I guess green health is really anything that involves connecting with nature and the outdoors in some way that makes us feel better. And it can include all sorts of things. It can include, it could be walking, it could be interacting with nature. It could be simple little things like just taking a bit of time to breathe and relax. Or it could be more stuff like different types of activities, various different levels, anything basically that helps us feel better, more relaxed, more physically happy, and still connects with nature and the outdoors. So it could be in green, could be blue spaces where we talk a lot about blue space that also connects with water, but basically anything outside that connects with nature.
Green health then, so that's mental health.
It's mental health, it's physical health, it's social health and reducing isolation and making connections. So kind of, because there's so many different aspects to our health and our well-being, and there's some aspect of nature, the outdoors, that can probably help with any of those.
When did you first become interested in green health yourself? Do you yourself get out quite a lot?
I do try and get out as much as I can, mainly because I just like it. I do feel generally calmer, more connected if I'm out in nature. I love walking in the woods. I love being by the water, and it can be simple little things, but I definitely enjoy being outside. And I know that if I am all kind of stressed and kind of head up, if I can just get out and breathe, then that kind of helps me. So I guess I've probably always been a bit interested in it myself, but it really became part of my job probably about 6-7 years ago, when the what was then Scottish Natural Heritage, which is now Nature Scot, they started taking forward a policy from the Scottish Government called Our Natural Health Service, and they were looking for pilot areas to develop green health partnerships, to work together in areas to try and connect people to the outdoors and nature more for the health. So it became part of my job probably about 6-7 years ago.
So Green Health Week itself, how long has that been going for?
Green Health Week's been going for a few years now, probably about 5 years. It came out of those pilot projects, which are in 4 different areas of Scotland, but now it's a national thing, and it's great because it's picked up by a lot of national agencies, by organisations and partnerships all over Scotland, and so there's more and more activity specifically going on, not just in Green Health Week, but all the time. But yeah, it's been going about 5 years.
Yeah, so I was going to ask that. What exactly happens during Green Health Week?
So Green Health Week is really just a chance for us to highlight and promote and let people know about different opportunities that they can get involved in, or different activities that they could do for themselves or with other people. So it's stuff that actually happens all year round a lot of the time. It's just this week is a real opportunity to shout about it, highlight it. Quite often there might be certain organisations who will maybe put on a couple of extra taster activities in Green Health Week just to let people come along, give it a try, see if it suits them. But so it's a real focus. It's an opportunity to kind of promote the opportunities there, get the organisations together to start talking together about what they can do to support more people to connect to the outdoors. So it's a focus, really, about anything to do with green health. Green health's quite a formal term, do you know what I mean? And it can sometimes be a bit off-putting for people. But effectively, it's just that thing of feeling better, feeling calmer, just enjoying that kind of space. And again, it's not absolutely for everybody. Do you know, some people aren't necessarily comfortable or confident in some natural environments. They can be unfamiliar for some people. There's if we're not used to going around kind of some of those kind of natural wilder spaces, it doesn't necessarily kind of work for us. So we never assume that what we're talking about works for everybody. But very often people just find the bit of it that does work for them. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be walking up mountains. It doesn't have to be kind of foraging around in bushes, going, looking for, kind of wildlife. It can be as simple as just getting some fresh air, just taking a bit of time to breathe, looking up rather than down, and just kind of taking that opportunity to relax. But at the end of the day, it's down to what people enjoy doing for themselves. Sometimes we that first step of actually getting outside, that's a difficult one. Like sometimes if we say to people to listen to their bodies, get your cues from your body signals and stuff. But if your body's saying, I just want to sit right here in this comfy chair, it's warm, I'm happy, I'm watching a movie, I'm playing games, whatever it might be, it's a big transition to actually do that. What we do quite often find is when we make that transition, we actually feel great. But we should never assume that it's necessarily easy or automatic for people. Can I tell you a story about my own son? He's going to be terribly embarrassed. When he was it must have been about 3, something like 3.5, 4. And like this, so this is my job. Okay, so people would naturally expect my kid would be outdoorsy, sporty, all that kind of stuff, right? And he stood there in the corridor. Lucy was going out, my wife was going out, and he literally said, "No, Mum, don't leave me with Dad. He'll just make me go outside." And I'm like,
that's brilliant.
Well, you're probably right, right? But you always enjoy it when you do.
Yeah.
But it's just always a good test that we can't assume. Sometimes in our world, we assume that everybody thinks like that. We assume it's easy for everybody to get outside, and it isn't. There's lots of reasons why people can't or don't enjoy nature and the outdoors as much as we might think is a good thing. So it's all about listening to people, where they're at, what's going on for them, what are they kind of needing and wanting, and what can we do to support that.
Yeah. And it's interesting, on the topic of children going outside, you forcing your child to go outside, I think there seems to be a bit of a change now with children, because when I was growing up, it was outside making. We used to do outside MasterChef and things like that, with the mud pies and things, and we were just outside all the time. And it seems like there's been a bit of a change with that, and kids maybe aren't going out as much because we have technology and things like that. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I think it varies. I think life and technology particularly is always evolving, and there's always alternatives, and quite instant and easy alternatives. We seem to be under more pressure with time. Don't know why. Things seem to be busier in life, and it's more difficult to kind of create that time to do sorts of things. On the flip side, there's also a lot of things going on that are specifically designed to encourage and support kids and families to go outside, spend that kind of time together. So, it's a bit tricky. I think there's so much. It's such a busy world in terms of what's getting our attention, what's coming in, what's grabbing our attention, that it just takes a little bit of time to filter those out and then think, okay, let's take this little bit of time to go outside. So I think kids, adults as well, there's just as much kind of influence on them. So it's evolving, but also think there is still the same kind of number of opportunities. But sometimes it takes us a little bit more time to filter it out and think about what we want to do.
I know you touched on it already, but what are some examples of green health that people might not realise they are doing already?
Yeah. So, again, it may just be those things that we feel better, but we're not sure what made us feel better sometimes. And it can be just that taking a bit of time. The walks that people go on, just walking about but not necessarily thinking about it. Something that I love doing that I'd never even thought of was green health until that's what it is. Skim stones. I love skimming stones. And it's just, I love the feel of the stone in my hand. I love the way it skips across the water. I'm kind of breathing it. No, I don't think of that as I'm doing a green health thing. I just like skimming stones.
Are you any good at it though?
I'm not bad. Not bad.
Even if I
this thing I need to go down to the World's Game. Then I'll find out that I'm not all that good. But I enjoy kind of doing it. So it's again, you don't have to think about it as something formal. It's just that things that makes me feel better. I like doing that, and I just happen to be outside and stuff when I'm doing it. So it's looking at those things that just kind of instinctively kind of make us feel good.
Are there any stories or examples that really stuck with you about green health? Really stuck with you?
So I think the ones that have stuck with me are ones where little bits make a real difference to people. For a few years ago, there was a really, really good women's walking group in Inverness. And it was women with really busy lives. These are the people who are busting through jobs trying to raise a family and do care responsibilities. But they managed to get together in this group. They used to meet kind of once a week just to go for a wee bit of a walk. And they did that. They went for a walk and did it, and it became really, really important. That was their time. That was their time that regenerated them to do all the kind of difficult, lengthy stuff that people do all day, every day. And it just gave them that bit of energy. But then they also decided they were going to walk up Ben Nevis. Now, it's not necessarily about walking up Ben Nevis. It's just that bit about it. They got so much from it that they just kind of found that bit of extra time, and they went on slightly longer walks and slightly longer, and they went up Ben Nevis. And what they got from that was absolutely massive, made a huge difference. And it gave them the resilience, it gave them the energy to cope with all the everyday stuff that, you know, is hard work. And I just kind of love that, the fact that what started a little thing made a real difference. For me, that Ben Nevis trip is better than people who do it like all the Munros. Nothing against people who do all the Munros. It's a great thing. Yeah. But, you know, the meaning behind that link with kind of nature and what that meant was really huge. Yeah. And another story that really stuck with me is that bit about how we assume that anybody can get outdoors and make an all. And if someone who lived in a village in the Highlands, and they had a long-term condition, which meant their energy varied a lot, and their mobility kind of varied a lot. But it was quite a small village, had a lovely woodland at the end of it, and they loved going for a walk in that woodland. They got all the benefits of nature and green health and all the rest of it. So, you know, they got everything. But some days when the energy was bad or not very high, they couldn't actually get to where the woodland was. They could only kind of walk. And what they said at that time was, just walking up and down the village, they didn't have a dog, just felt a bit weird. And they thought that they looked a bit weird, just kind of walking up and down the village, so they didn't do it. Oh. And that stuck with me because it's that assumption that, even if we get it, that it's easy. And I thought, what is it that, you know, about I don't know, society that would make somebody feel weird just for walking up and down the road in the village? And then I thought about it, and I'm like, yeah, how many people just walk up and down the road in a village? I'm like, so that stuck with me about how we can't make those assumptions. It stuck with me that that's the sort of work that we need to do, is to make it absolutely normal and okay to just walk up and down the road in your village and not look a bit weird if you haven't got a dog, because that's where the benefit comes for people. And actually, hopefully that's where some of those interactions and kind of social chat and stuff might happen if people kind of want to have them. So yeah, just a couple of stories, little things that made big differences to people. And that for me is one of the nuggets of kind of connection to nature, and those little things can make a big difference.
I had that thought recently, because I'll take the dog out for 2 walks a day, like an hour long, both times. And I had that thought of, if I didn't have a dog, would I go for a walk?
It's a really good question.
Like I would like to think that I would.
Yeah.
I just can't promise that I would. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I don't, maybe it would be totally different. Like, he gives me a reason to leave the house.
Yeah, I agree. This is my job. This is what I do. And same, the dog gets me out. Dogs aren't for everybody, and I would never suggest that somebody should get a dog if it's not into them. But I have a similar thought. It's like, okay, I'm gonna have to think about this. Yeah. When I haven't got this dog anymore, I'm really gonna have to think about this and do that thing to get myself out.
Community groups, do they play quite a big part in green health, would you say?
Yeah, I would say community groups, community networks can play a huge impact on supporting more people to be able to kind of connect with nature. So sometimes it's about actually providing activities, actually about running activities or groups and making that connection. Sometimes it can be about community groups that can support people to participate in those befrienders groups, or, you know, kind of local community connectors, things like that. So yeah, community groups play a huge part in supporting people, and we've got several projects around Highland that really I guess exemplify that idea of community networks and community groups coming together to support more people to link with the outdoors and nature. We've got a couple of projects called Stepping Stones projects. Okay, yeah. So we've got one running in Kinlochleven and one running in Ullapool, and that's all about working with communities and community organisations to kind of find out what people in the communities need and want, and doing that kind of talking and conversation thing, and then bringing everybody together to try and do that. Find out who's running activities, find out who can support people to link to activities, whichever of those networks would be. So you develop that it's that encouraging safety net that people feel a little bit safe, a little bit more confident to give something a try. And it also makes use of those networks to reach out and connect with people and have those conversations and support people to kind of come out. So those are really, really great projects in both those areas. We also do quite a lot of work in kind of the Badenoch and Strathspey kind of area as well. Yeah. We do it kind of the different way around. The different way around we do it there is it's more coming from services. So we've actually got like a nature prescriptions program whereby you've got GPs and health professionals and other community support people actually literally prescribe people nature.
No way.
And so there's a link worker who will then get in touch with people and have a conversation about, okay, well, what does that actually mean? What do you want to do and how can we help facilitate that? But again, once those conversations have been had, it's about what's available in those communities. And there's a really good network of community-based organisations that either provide activities or support people to kind of get to them. So, yeah, community organisations and community networks, hugely important in supporting people to link to nature and the outdoors for sure.
Yeah. The prescriptions is very interesting. I've
never
heard that before.
So again, it's another way of trying to kind of link people to nature and the outdoors. So this is, I guess, a much more medical way of looking at it. And there are people who don't like that term. They think it's over medicalizing, just nature and the outdoors and something that kind of should be simple. I guess the flip side of that is if sitting down and having a conversation with a GP. There's not many more medicalised headspaces that we're in. There's something about using language that bridges that gap. And we talk a lot about other ways to support health as well as like pharmaceutical prescriptions or interventions. They are valid and they have a fantastic effect in lots of cases. But there's also quite a lot of cases where it's other stuff that will really help to keep people well. We talk a lot about other kind of social support within organisations, within communities, that other organisations can give. So it's not a clinical solution, it's not a pharmaceutical solution, it might be something else that's making somebody ill or stopping them from being well. Yeah. And how do we support people with those sorts of stuff? And part of that might be connection to nature and the outdoors. There's lots of evidence, long-standing and even more emerging, of the impact that connection to nature and the outdoors can have on our physical health, on our mental health, on our kind of isolation. So, for example, if somebody's suffering from, say, low-level depression or anxiety, for some people, maybe some medication might help. For a lot of people, actually, connection with the outdoors, breathing, relaxation, whatever the activity might be, can be just as effective. Yeah. It's down to the individual and it's down to the conversation they have with that kind of medical practitioner, but it's about validating it as an equally important and legitimate treatment as other kind of forms of treatment. Yeah. So because we're talking about that, it's all in that space, it's all in that conversation. So if the GP can prescribe other things, why can't they prescribe nature?
Yeah, and is that a new thing then?
It's been running for a couple of years now. It's a bit of a test in that particular kind of area. We've done some work with GPs and we're partnering with Cairngorms National Park, who they've got some funding from for a big set of projects that they're doing around connecting people with the national park, and part of that is around health and well-being. So the funding they've got employs a green health worker, link worker, who's there then to have those extra conversations with people. Because it's okay sitting in the GP surgery and say, oh, why don't you go out in nature? Okay, great. But you go out the door and then life hits. Yeah. All the other reasons why I didn't do it in the first place, are still kind of getting in the way. So it's about that extra bit of support, having conversations about what is it I want to do, finding out about what different opportunities might be there, and that extra little bit of support to get started on that. That's the job that the Green Health Link worker can do. And then that links into some of those community organisations. So again, that's the kind of medical service-led model. The ones we've got in like Kinlochleave and Ullapool are more about a community-led model that's kind of working from the bottom up, and both of them can be really helpful.
You've talked about skimming stones, but what is your all-time favourite green health thing to do?
Oh, that's a tough question. So I like views. I also, I think water's great. So I'm not a wild swimmer. I'm more of a splash, and run out again. But I do like waterfalls. So if if the environment and the opportunity is there, and particularly if it's a nice kind of hot day or I've been doing something that's hot, standing under a waterfall, I think is awesome. Just the energy of the water, and it's usually quite refreshing, depending on where you do it and what country you're in at the time. But in terms of making me feel most alive, that's one.
And your son, does he still like the outdoors?
He does love the outdoors. When he's out and about in it, he does kind of love it. It is one of those funny things. Like I say, it's kind of it's you get the benefit when you don't notice.
Yeah.
Do you know? And if we sit and think about it and overanalyze it, then that's when it becomes a chore and all the rest of it. It's the stuff we do when we're not noticing.
Yeah. So tell me about the Highland Charter for Climate, Nature and Health.
Yeah, so this is a great thing. In the last couple of years, the what was the Highland Climate Charter has kind of evolved into the Charter for Climate, Nature and Health, because it recognises that those three things go really strongly together. And interestingly, it was actually Joan who was telling me about conversations that she has in communities about climate. She says very often what people talk back to me about is nature, or they talk back to me about health. So the three are so incredibly closely linked. And if we think about the climate, it's often what's around us, so we experience in nature, and it's really, really important for our health. So there was some great work to kind of evolve that a little bit. And it's a real opportunity for people to think about, okay, well, maybe what can I do to contribute in some way to the climate, to nature, and improving people's health. So I know there's an opportunity to sign up to the Charter and to make a pledge, just a personal pledge about, okay, well, what can I do? What do I want to do to make a positive difference to the climate, the environment, to nature around me, or to support my own or other people's health? There's some really good suggestions actually on the climate page, the Charter page. So it's helpful information, useful tips, ideas of what little things that people can do. But it's great because we've got organisations signing up for it, we've got individuals signing up for it, NHS Highland is signed up for it, which is great. So it's a chance for people to have a think about, okay, what can we do to take this forward? What can we do to help? What can I do to make just a little promise? And a little commitment, I'm going to give this a go. And the Charter gives us a great opportunity to do that.
Well, thank you very much, Dan. It was
Lovely
wonderful talking to you, and I've learned so much about green health, and I'm really excited to see all the events and things unfold this week. That's it for our first episode of the Climate Craic podcast. So we will be back in a couple months with a different guest. I think that's everything. Thank you so much.
Enjoy Green Health Week.
Happy Green Health Week, everyone.